Welcome everyone on today's Metal3 community meeting session. My name is Adam Rosman. I will be your host today. Please don't forget that the meeting is being recorded. Today is 27th of April 2022. And as always, we start the agenda with introductions. But I think there's no new member in the meeting, so we can skip that and we can go to the next agenda point. This is from me. It is related to the improvements for the ironic image testing. So 1 or 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that now the ironic has build test, and the other thing that was added in another pipeline is this integration test upgrade with a new trigger phrase and some logic. So now you can run integration test on the ironic image pipe image repository on a PR, and you can specify this postfix, this dash source, and then it will use another pipeline where the ironic as in the application, the ironic Python tool is installed from the ironic repository's main branch from source, and not from a pip package. And that's basically what it brings. And if you might wonder that, okay, but what if I want a different branch or commit? That is not specified by the pipeline, but it is handled by this file. So if you want to create a VIP PR or or just want to test something on the repo, then you can make a PR and you can add modifications here, and then the source pipeline will take these into consideration. Actually, everything from here. So you can select other repositories also, and you can play around with that. It does not upload the result, so the finished container image to anywhere. It is ephemeral. It will be removed. Does anyone have questions related to this feature? Okay, if in the future any one of you would be interested, please feel free to ping me, email me, or anybody from like the EST group. The other one is also from me. That's just an announcement. So as you might know, last week we had a poll, a voting related to what sort of drawing tool should we use in the Metal3 docs repository to draw the sequence diagrams and other type of diagrams. And those who voted in favor of draw.io. So that is the one that will be used. If you are not familiar with this tool, but probably most of you are, it is just a web-based tool. You can tie this to your Google account, maybe even GitHub, I'm not sure. You can create here different type of drawings. Let me just show it. So it will look like this for you. And when you are finished, you can save it. And you have a myriad of options: OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, GitHub, whatever, and it saves into different formats. And for us, the HTML and the XML is good because, as I understood, our plan is that in the book we will put the SVG or the PNG, but we will also have it in the same location, basically the work files, the editable files, these XMLs, and then you can later upload it to this if you want to continue work with it, or it might even work with pairing it with GitHub. Yeah, so it's version controllable. Okay, so that was the two things from me. Does anyone have a question related to the draw.io tool? Okay, if nothing, then we can go to the next agenda point. It's from Ricardo, related to patching the ironic image.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you are a bit quiet.
Oh, okay, so my volume is maybe a bit low. Can you hear me now better?
Yes, now it's perfect.
Okay, thanks. All right, so I wanted to present a tool that we're actually using since a while. It's basically just what the title says. It's a tool that's it's used to patch the ironic image. I'm just talking about the ironic image container, no other images in this case. It's it's just related to the ironic image itself. It's the main script is actually patch image.sh in the repository. You can see it's open now in the window. And what it does, the tool is it basically takes an existing ironic image that can be one that you can find on quay.io or something that you built yourself based on the ironic image repository. And it applies patches. So far, it can apply only patches that are on Gerrit, but we're working, I have a list of things to do. One of that is allow for local patch testing. So we're working to have, to allow to be able to patch the ironic image using local patches. If you have local repositories and you're modifying, like you're writing some code or features or testing a bug fix, it will allow to patch the image without uploading that on Gerrit. So far, we support two ways of patching the image. One is the rebuild, and the other one is just the normal patch. With the rebuild, it's going to here you can see the script. So the rebuild one, it's the first one. It's going to completely rebuild the library, the Python library that you patch in. For example, the ironic library, if you have a patch, it's going to rebuild ironic completely up to that patch. So you will end up with a complete different version of the ironic binaries that you have in your image. While with the patch command word, it's just going to apply a patch or multiple patches. Actually, it can be used to apply multiple patches in sequence to the library already present in the image. So if you want to still to see the effects of your patch on whatever ironic is using at the moment, you can with the patch command word. Again, we have a couple of things in the list to do. First of all, would be improving the documentation, because so far it's just a very small README. And the second one is to improve the patch handling. Now we need to use like some long URLs to handle the patches, and they basically redirect to Gerrit. But we're working on having just, for example, the number of the patch in case of Gerrit. And in the future, maybe allow for also GitHub patches in case of like some libraries that comes from GitHub instead of Gerrit or any other source. And then, of course, allowing for the local patch testing. And one thing that we are actually thinking is to give the possibility to modify the IPA downloader, which is still used in MetaCube, just with a basic change. So to be able to load custom RAM disk and custom initrd in IPA downloader to be able to test that. So the tool is like, it requires some cleaning, of course, but the idea in the end would be to propose that directly in the Metal3 community, if, of course, there is interest on that. And I was also planning to send a mail about that. And that's all. If you have any questions, feel free. Thanks.
Thanks. It looks very useful. So if I understood correctly, just to make sure, so the plan is that you continue developing this tool, and at some point you will propose that, make it part of the Metal3 core project, or like the project itself, right?
Yes, that's the plan. Again, we are already using these for testing purposes since a while, and it is actually really useful. So I was planning to just give this to the Metal3 community. I think anyone can benefit from these.
Yeah, it sounds very good. Yes, thank you. That really sounds very good.
Sure.
So far it is used by your organization.
That's correct.
Downstream, right?
It's tested. I used it also for Metal3 testing, so for upstream stuff. But mainly, yes, we used internally in our organization downstream.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else questions related to this? Okay, if no more question related to this topic, then thank you, Ricardo.
Thanks.
Is there any other topic that you want to bring up that is not on the agenda? Okay, then we can continue with the triaging. I just started checking the triaging quickly. We have two. One is avoid using dirty repos for deploy. This is from Leonard. Ooh, that's quite long. Could you summarize this, Leonard? And I will keep description here.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote this one today. So basically, the last few weeks, I have come across a few times some issues with this, like how we currently in Metal3 devenv make use of well, basically BMO and Ironic deploy, like how we deploy them from Metal3 devenv. So a quick summary is basically there is this deploy script in the BMO repo, and there are also these kind of customizations in there. So from Metal3 devenv, we clone the BMO repo. Then we want to make some changes because we want to, like, obviously we don't want to use the main image if we want to build a local one and test that. So we need to, for example, change some images in those manifests, and also maybe some configuration changes. So we clone BMO, we make some changes in there, and then we either run this deploy script or apply it through some other means from Metal3 devenv. And this can be a bit problematic because now when we made changes in BMO, of course the repo is then dirty and we don't really know what exact state it is in. Like it's not obvious to say that it's on this commit and that this is the content of it. And then the second one is, how do we clean it and when? So we used to previously try to clean every time in between, like in Metal3 Devenv, when we launch the management cluster, we make some changes and then we deploy, and then we immediately revert the changes. But this becomes a problem because later on in some tests, we will again need those original manifests that we used to deploy it. For example, when we pivot over to the target cluster, or when we do upgrade, we may want to reference the original manifests and make some small change in it. So it's not so obvious when we can restore it and when not. And yeah, then the other question is, maybe sometimes when you work on this, you want to also make your own changes in the BMO repo, and then it becomes even more complicated. You have some changes, Metal3 Devenv makes some more changes, and yeah, you get the combination of this. So my proposal here would be that instead of from Metal3 Devenv making changes in the BMO manifests, we add an overlay in Metal3 Devenv, and actually more like a template for an overlay that we fill in. There are some pros and cons to this, and I would be very grateful if people comment on this and say if you like it or not, and if there is something more or other that we could do. But my idea would be that it would be simpler if Metal3 Devenv is managing like its own small changes on top of the original BMO and Ironic manifests that come from the BMO repo, instead of going in there and making changes. Of course, there will still be a dependency between them. Like we are still using those original manifests, but I think it would be easier to think about what state we are in. So the proposal would be that we have this kind of config folder in Metal3 Devenv, where we would have customizations for BMO and Ironic, maybe even CAPM3. They would then point to, like have a reference to the BMO repo where the original customizations are, like a base that we start from, but they would also include some patches that we need. From this config folder, we can probably, when we launch the management cluster, we can create a temporary, think of it as a template. We start from the config folder, we generate for this specific run a customization overlay where we add the specific settings for this run, and then it's just another temporary folder that we can clean when running make clean. So it would have a logical life cycle following the same as the test that we run in Metal3 Devenv, and the BMO and Ironic repo would be completely clean all the time. That's the idea. So please, if you have questions or comments, you can write them there on the issue or ask here, of course, also.
Is there anybody who want to make a remark now? Do you feel, at least I feel that it is an accepted, so I would like to see this. I actually had just today some work I was doing, some epoch kernel stuff, and I was messing with BMO also and Ironic. This would have been very useful for my use case. So from my part, it would be a very welcomed change. It would put a bit of separation between the two repos. So and also it would actually, like in many cases nowadays, I had to like set this no force update to true to when I had like custom changes, but with this in many occasions we wouldn't need that. So that would simplify many use cases related to that also. So from my part, it's accepted. What do you others think? Is there? I will ask it otherwise. Is there somebody who thinks that this is in this proposal format is not acceptable for triaging or like by the triaging? Okay, then I think everybody agrees that it is accepted. What do you think, Leonard? How do you foresee? Will you plan on working this in the like immediate future, or should we put a help wanted tag on this to attract attention?
I think please put the help wanted. I don't think I will have time like in this week or the next, maybe later, but yeah.
Okay. Okay, then it is accepted. Let's see, does it put the correct text there? Kind, feature, help wanted. Did I mess up? Oh, sorry. I have messed this up. Okay. Okay, thank you, Leonard. I like this proposal a lot.
Thank you.
The next one is this failures in ironic HTTP probes. I think I know what this person means, because I was getting similar reports from downstream. Exactly, yes, exactly the same error. This SSL version number problem. I looked into this, and by default, if you just install curl with OpenSSL and use these probes that we have now, it was a later addition, like at some point, the end of last year, Anwar added this, and in certain cases, if you like use it, you get this error. And what I was finding is that by default, curl with OpenSSL only supports SSL version 1, and it is not the same. So the TLS versions are handled differently, and those seem to be supported up to 1.3. So there is no problem. But when for example, I try to set the SSL version higher, then I got that it is not supported, and then the downstream user was seeing the same error with there. I actually asked for some tests are actually sent over a bunch of different curl commands with different SSL and TLS configs to check it, and I'm waiting for the response on that. So I think it is something dependent on what sort of certificates are used, or how is, or like in what environment. But I think it's more related to the certificates. Have any of you seen this, or is it just me and this person?
It may be certificates, but it may also be an attempt to connect to an HTTP endpoint. It also looks this way. You need to check what is happening on the server side as well.
In my case, it was even modified, because I think now let's check this. I think in the upstream we have it in a way that if it fails with the HTTPS, then it can try with the HTTP. I think that's how Anwar put it in upstream. Ironic. Oh, okay, rather probe, right? Where was this? Yeah, these. Yes. So first it tries with the, so first it tries with the HTTP, and we use the same for the tests, like the CI. And then
sorry, I will interrupt you for a second, please.
Yeah.
You're looking at the wrong place. It's ironic, not ironic HTTPD.
Oh,
Ironic
sorry.
HTTPD, I think, is only used with HTTPS actually.
HTTPD. Yes, it is only for, sorry, yeah. So, yep. So what I was seeing, I was actually seeing this for the inspector, but the downstream, they modified it and removed the HTTP, because in their case, there wasn't anything HTTP, and they used HTTPS, and they were seeing the same problem. So it was basically the same for them. They just used this much. So I think there might be, my suspicion would be that we need to modify, like either like add something that helps curl do this with higher SSL versions, or what you just mentioned, that it's something that the operators mess up, but I'm not sure.
So I suspect it could be just a copy-paste problem, really. It's possible that it was introduced by me by copying the relevant bits from TLS configuration. I think this should be just HTTP here, because we only use, so we use only HTTPS when we're proxying Ironic and Ironic Inspector APIs through HTTPD, but this is not a proxy of the API, it's just a file server, so that has to be HTTP, I think. So I think it just like fix this one, remove this one letter, and can be fine.
Okay. Okay. It might be that, yeah, like probably I wasn't actually sure, because I actually didn't check that what was the port, what are we curling. I always forget that what port is what. Well, I have it written down, but I forget it sometimes. But if it's just that this actually is not, oh, sorry, this is not hosting anything with HTTPS, then okay, then that's like an easy fix for everybody. Anyways, or either way, I think we can accept this, right? Because it's either we have something with the commands, so we are just expecting things that won't happen, or we have some issue with the installed packages in the Ironic container that are not supporting higher SSL versions, right? And this is the two possibility, at least I think.
Yeah, I highly doubt we have a version mismatch. It's Care after all. It should support TLS 1.2. And actually for file storage, we don't enforce new HTLS versions. We only do that for APIs, because we did not do that because of compatibility with BMCs. So I really do think it's about HTTPS versus HTTP. In any case, you're right, it's a valid bug, we can accept it.
Okay, thanks. I will accept it. Dimitri, would you like to look into this? Because then I assign it to you. Or how do you foresee, do you have time for handling this? If it's just this simple, that fixing the QR commands.
I can do that, but I don't have a reproducer, so I won't be able to verify it. I don't have like an upstream Metal3 environment at hand. So if somebody wants to fix that who has an environment to test it, it would be much better.
Okay, as I mentioned, I have one upstream, downstream user who is now uplifting Ironic. So I can actually, I think I can ask them to check this. Then I will assign myself. Keep an eye on this. Okay. Then we handled these. Good. There is no stale. There is one frozen, which is interesting because I don't remember. It was frozen before, but it is related to the provisioning interface and Ironic listening on all interfaces, and we accepted it last time, like 2 months ago, and then Feroz asked update on this. There was none, but actually in the meantime, NAM started working on a bit, not securing, but restricting the interface usage in the Ironic image. But he left. I actually also have in my backlog like the continuation of that work. I think I will just assign. I still won't remove the frozen, but I will assign it to myself, as I have anyway the similar task in my backlog. And if it was handled by what NUM did, or if it can, if my stuff will handle it, then it can be reported here. Otherwise, I don't think there is a need for other action here, or I don't think it's worth removing from the frozen yet until I do something with it. Or figure out that what is the actual state of this. I have to read upon this. Okay. That was the frozen, and then there is the half wanted. So that was the support for firmware update. That's going on for some time, the help request on that. And I think we were asking for, did we ask for? No, it is just open for somebody who wants to implement this feature. The other is a bunch of user guide stuff that is always open, and thanks for everybody who is contributing to the guide. It is steadily growing. And then these were all things that we in the past discussed that were created by Leonard. And as I always mention, feel free to pick any of these up. Have you checked these, Leonard, by the way? Have you worked on any of these that you proposed that were accepted?
Not yet, no, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm just asking because then I leave them in this state. I won't remove the help wanted or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. We have one for the CAPM3. This was what actually Anwar will work on this on similar ones, but this one we left open if somebody want to join in or learn about this provider ID feature. We discussed it in the past, and there is There is this one. We discussed it last time, and Zane started communicating with the person who reported it, but I see there is no answer. And then there is the last one, and this was that we discussed today. So that's the state of the ones that are tagged as help wanted. Is there any other repo or not repo issue that that is open and you want to reclassify it? Anybody in any of the MetaCube repos needs a new tag or something, or attention, and it was not listed during the triaging? Okay, if nothing, and at any time you can just ping me with these like tagging or repo maintenance related issues, or if you leave the project and you forgot yourself you forgot to remove yourself or any of these administrative things, then I will take a look. Is there any suggestion, problem, improvements, question related to the meeting? If not, then thank you for your time, and we will see each other next week. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.